So this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Monstrosity, 1963. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. I love this flick. It's going to be another low-budget science fiction horror film from 1963 in glorious black white. It's one of those so bad that it's good types. I love this flick. It says bodies for sale, Monstrosity. And I can't read the rest of it. Something about wanted. I'll see if I can pull up a better resolution of that movie poster. Bear with me. Here we go. We got Amazon. Hey, let's try Amazon. Here we go. It's only $9.99, this movie poster. This is the coolest movie poster ever. You can get 24 by 36 inches for $32.99. Click on the image. Okay, I clicked on it. Now what? Oh, here we go. Expanded view. Well, maybe not. $9.99 on eBay. Man, these movie posters are cheap. 1963. Well, I guess I'll get into it while that's loading. Monstrosity is a 1963 U.S. science fiction horror film produced by Jack Pollocksfin and Dean Dillman Jr. and directed by Joseph V. Mascali. The film stars Marjorie Eaton, who physically portrayed Emperor Palpatine in the original release. Of The Empire Strikes Back, though her face was masked and her voice dubbed. Frank Gerstle, Erica Peters, and Xerxes the Cat tells the story of a wealthy elderly woman who wants to have her brain transplanted into the head of a young woman. Actor Bradford Dillman, the younger brother of co-writer and producer Dean Dillman Jr., narrated the film. Monstrosity was broadcast on television under the title The Atomic Brain. The Atomic Brain. All right. Wanted. Youth and Beauty. Will pay millions. Only I can't. I have to zoom in on this. Zoom. I still can't read it. I'm looking at the Walmart movie poster. eBay wasn't working. Let's try this. Heritage Auctions. Only beautiful and shapely girls need apply. No reference required. Appointments after dark only. That's what the movie poster says. I finally got a decent look-see at the movie poster from Heritage Auctions. All right. I love that movie poster. In an atomic-powered laboratory beneath the mansion of the elderly, unpleasant, very rich Mrs. Hetty March, Dr. Otto Frank is experimenting with brain transplantation. Things are not going well, though, as all Dr. Frank has succeeded in creating so far is Hans, a snarling man beast with a dog's brain, and the walking corpse, a pretty young woman who wanders around the lab with a brain dead, glassy eyed stare. Dr. Frank's goal is to carry out the wishes of Mrs. March, transplant her brain into the head of a beautiful younger woman. To that end, Mrs. March advertises for domestic help, and she hires Nina Rhodes from Austria, Bea Mullins from England, and Anita Gonzalez from Mexico. Mrs. March plans to pick out the best looking of the three and use her as a body donor so that she will become one of the richest and most beautiful young women in the world. She rejects Anita because the birthmark on her back makes her imperfect, and she chooses the curvaceous blonde Bee instead, the one with the short hair. Anita is turned over to Dr. Frank for experimentation, and he transplants the brain of Xerxes the cat into her head. Anita immediately takes on the aspects of cat behavior, purring, hissing, eating mice, etc. Neither Nina nor Bay know what has happened to Anita. And when Bay comes across her, she scratches out one of Bay's eyes. Oh, Bay is the long hair blonde. Excuse me, I got them mixed up. Nina finds Anita. Anita is a short hair blonde on the roof of the mansion, and she attempts to get her down, but Anita loses her footing and Anita falls to her death. Because of Bay's injury, Nina becomes by default the choice for Mrs. March's new body. However, Dr. Frank, wanting to take full control of his work, instead transplants Mrs. March's brain into Xerxes. Now a cat, Mrs. March is quite unhappy about this unexpected development, and after scratching Dr. Frank's hand in anger, she locks him inside of his atomic-powered experimental chamber. When he enters it, Xerxes, Mrs. March then starts the chamber, which quickly reduces Dr. Frank to a skeleton. Very cheap looking skeleton from the thrift store, and also begins a chain reaction in the atomic pile below the lab that will cause it to explode, destroying all evidence of the lab and burning the mansion to the ground. A half-blind Bee stumbles in the lab to rescue Nina, but as the lab starts coming apart, Bee is killed when a piece of machinery falls on her. And that's it. Only 64 minutes. Release date September 1963, distributed by Emerson Film Enterprises. According to American Film Institute, Monstrosity was released to theaters in September 1963. However, it was not reviewed by Variety until after a screening at a Hollywood theater on December 9th, 1964, some 15 months after its stated release. And as part of the question that Weaver asked Pollock Sven in the interview, Weaver referred to the film as being released around 1964, approximately 6 years after it was made in 1958. I put 1963. But Karate Man's very picky about that sort of thing, at least with 1990s action movies. The film has been released on DVD several times, including part of Mill Creek's Entertainment's 2007 100 movie packs of sci-fi classics and horror classics. It was also in the Monster Collection, 16 movies, a 3-disc set from Echo Bridge Home Entertainment, released on September 1st, 2015, and again on September 13th, 2016 in Echo Bridge's The Midnight Horror Collection, Volume 3. Willite Acquisition Corporation twice released The Atomic Brain as singles discs, less than 2 weeks apart, on February 5th, 2016 and February 16th, 2016. A Monstrosity Teenage Zombies 1959 double feature was offered by Bayview Entertainment Retro Media as of July 26, 2016. The Atomic Brain was a single disc DVD on June 29, 2017 by Film Detective. Double feature of Monstrosity, City of the Dead. The City of the Dead, 1960, came from Frolic Pictures on October 8, 2019, and another, The Dead One, 1961 Monstrosity, was issued by Image Entertainment on October 30th, 2020. A 4K restoration of Monstrosity was released on BDR and DVD-R in 2017, following a successful 2015-2016 Kickstarter campaign by Ben Solovey. It features audio commentary by Tom Weaver, who speaks about the making of the movie, and Dr. Robert J. Kiss, who discusses its theatrical and TV release. Academic Booney Noonan took an in-depth look at Monstrosity in her book Gender in Science Fiction Films, 1964 to 1979, a clinical study. She notes that both women and men are portrayed in ways that are stereotypically gendered. The film devalues women of a certain age in the form of Mrs. March, who wants to replace her unacceptably aging body with a younger one, but the movie is also critical of men. Victor Frank Fowler, whom Noonan refers to as Mrs. March's longtime male companion, is not depicted as a man worthy of high regard. For example, as Victor oogles the walking corpse, a drooling girl whose dead body has been reanimated, he mutters lecherously, "She doesn't have a brain, might be advantages." Bob, whose review of the film is in the December 16, 1964 issue of Variety, has a little good to say about this movie. He writes that Monstrosity proves its name is no misnomer, and that it's poorly acted, poorly directed, poorly written attempt to shock. My kind of flick. In his opinion, it's difficult to distinguish the zombies from the other actors, and he points out that Nina, Bay, and Anita lose their foreign accents halfway through the film. I don't even think the British gal had a had a British accent. It sounded like it was dubbed by a U.S. actress. Anyway, more recent reviewers are not more favorably impressed than Bob was. Writing in the Zombie Movie Encyclopedia, academic Peter Dendel calls it a deservedly infamous horror, which includes the earliest explicit statement that brain decay accounts for the zombies' diminished intelligence. Here, the walking corpse, a walking, breathing, zombie-like creature, exhibits only basic motor functions as she wanders around the cellar laboratory in her white robe and bare feet with a blank stare. But as zombies do not figure prominently in the narrative, film historian Glenn Kay characterizes Monstrosity as a zombie-less zombie movie. He calls it an amusingly ridiculous drive-in effort, a film that is so bad it's good. Yeah, We agree with Glenn K. Very well said. Film historian Jamie Russell also finds little that makes a favorable impression. He writes, the only monstrosities to be seen are a woman with a cat's brain, a man with a dog's brain, and a zombified chick whose cerebral matter is no longer firing on all cylinders. Similar to Kay, he calls it trash cinema, but not without perverse enjoyment. We like trash cinema on this channel. We used to like Garbage Can Film Man until he had a kid and he stopped making videos. Critic Mike Bogue writes that probably the best thing about the movie is its length, just a little over an hour, while not as howlingly awful like The Beast of Yucca Flats, 1961. Monstrosity is still tough sledding. However, the actors are fairly good for this type of movie. He also notes that while Hans is a titular monstrosity, viewers may feel that the real monstrosity is the film itself. Elsewhere, special mention is made of impromptu cat performer Xerxes, the film's featured feline. The anonymous reviewer points out that Xerxes, already with Mrs. March's brain, provides the climax of the movie as he takes advantage of Dr. Frank entering his atomic chamber by locking him in, flipping the switch, frying the man alive. In Zombie Mania, 80 Movies to Die For, academic and author Arnold T. Bloomberg wrote that the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version is the only watchable one. I tend to disagree with that. I watched the Cult Cinema Classics version of it, and I thought it was great. Under the title The Atomic Brain, the film was shown in episode number 518 of Mystery Science Theater 3000 MST3K, first airing on December 4th, 1993. The episode is not considered to be among the series' high points. It did not make the top 100 in a poll of MST3K Season 11 Kickstarter backers. Similarly, writer Jim Vorel, in his ranking of all 191 MST3K episodes, put the episode at 151, calling it a slice of dull black and white of averageness that feels interchangeable with any of the many other Mad Scientist episodes. The MST3K version of the film was released by Rhino Home Video as part of the Mystery Science Theater 3000 Collection Volume 3 DVD box set. The collection also contains The Side Hackers, episode number 202, and The Unearthly, episode number 320, plus a disc of 6 MST3K shorts. The 4-disc collection was later reissued by Shout Factory in September 2016. The film was adopted into a musical. In 2010, the play is described as perfect for high schools and community theaters with several strong female roles, content suitable for all ages, and dancing cats. So that's a long Wikipedia page for Monstrosity that I just went through. Let's see what's on my list, and then I'll tell you what's coming down the pike next week on Netflix. Because I told you last week and this week are going to be Karate Man section of my Netflix queue, but I think I'm getting a break from Karate Man stuff next week. So I'll give you that. Not that anybody will watch this video except for Adrian, because it's got a cool movie title. Maybe Jeff Jaffe will watch it. Whatever happened to Jeff Jaffe anyway? All right. The next one on my list is Diamond Trail, 1933, Sinful Cargo, 1936, Youth on Parole, 1937, I'll Name the Murderer, 1936, and last but not least, The Chase, 1946. So there you have it. My list. This is a great film to watch from beginning to end. It was just pure trash cinema. It made me feel dirty, even though there was no nudity. All right. It's just one of those cheap movies. I agree that it's better than the Beast of Yucca Flats. That movie is hard to watch. The Beast of Yucca Flats is so bad that it's bad type movie. I tried watching it. It's just Tor Johnson walking around these Bronson Canyon. That's the entire movie. It's like watching Andy Warhol shooting the Chrysler building for like 15 hours. All right. So let's see what we got coming down the pike for next week. We got Defending Your Life, 1991, Demons 2, 1986, and last but not least, Demon Stone, 1989. That's what's coming down the pike next week. And that is the end of my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Welcome to the July 4th Independence Day edition of my channel. You know, Independence Day, my stupid coworker who said that Donald Trump got elected through Russian interference. He also thinks that the whole point of the U.S. independence from Great Britain was, I think, that he learned in school called taxation without representation, which is a lie they teach in public school, by the way. It was really about localized government. They wanted the colonies to run the government, not the King of England. So a little historical revisionism for you. I just learned that today, by the way. Everything you learn in school is a bunch of crap. So don't feel bad, Adrian, that you left school early or you didn't do well in school. You probably learned more outside of school than you did inside of school. You have to unlearn certain things like U.S. history. That Lincoln lived in a log cabin and the first president was George Washington, that sort of thing. All right. Well, that's my critique of public schools. My video won't get taken down unlike center of the web. All right. So that's the end of my review. Laters.